everyone, and welcome to another episode of Coast Connections. I'm Elizabeth Hines, and today we have a very interesting story for you. We've got a marine biologist and a photojournalist here from Nanaimo, whose slogan is take only pictures and leave only bubbles. Well, his pictures have made a huge splash on the world stage recently. He's the winner of the 2024 Wildlife Photographer of the Year. We're going to learn more about that prestigious contest in a minute. Please welcome Mr. Shane Gross.
Hello, hello. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, Shane. And you brought your girlfriend, Chloe.
Yes, that's her in all her glory.
In all her glory. Your love for marine biology and conservation comes from your childhood in Saskatchewan, of course.
Of
the
course.
Bull
Yeah, no, we actually have quite a few divers and ocean lovers in Saskatchewan. But yeah, that's where it started for me. In Saskatchewan lakes. We have 100,000 lakes in Saskatchewan. So I grew up snorkeling and fishing and just playing in and around water and watching Jaws. And my dad was a scuba diver. So it all just came together. And I decided I wanted to explore the world's oceans, lakes, rivers, anything with water with a camera.
Fantastic. Your camera's named Chloe. You have a very close relationship with her, which is good. And this is the camera that got the winning shot that we're going to talk about tonight.
Yeah, absolutely.
So this contest, Shane, is the London Natural History Museum in the UK. And you had entered that contest, I think, since when?
2011.
2011.
A long time, yep.
Yeah. Many a photo you had submitted there.
Yeah, you get to enter 25 photos a year.
Okay.
And this is a competition that draws the best photographers in the world enter this one. This is, if I could only win one competition in my life, this would be it. And to be honest, I never thought I would win the overall. I had a couple images place in 2018, but to win the overall is just such a mind-blowing honor. And it gets us talking about tadpoles and wetlands. So
Absolutely.
What a wonderful thing.
And just to let our viewers know that there was almost 60,000 entries, 59,228, I think exactly.
Good memory. Yeah, it's in the 60th year now.
Yeah.
And yeah, almost 60,000 entries. And
From 117 countries. So
Yeah.
very much a global contest.
Truly international.
Yeah.
And they really try to get photographers from traditionally underrepresented countries involved in the competition. So we had people from all over the world represented in the 100 images that make it to the finals here.
And in the final, for the grand title, there was 12 photographers. 2 were from Canada, of course yourself. And so that it got narrowed down from 60,000 people to 12 to Mr. Shane Gross as the grand title winner.
Yeah, crazy. When you put it like that, it's absolutely mind-blowing to think that the judges liked my image enough, and I'm so grateful to them. I have a huge amount of respect for each and every one of those judges, so it really means a lot.
Let's show viewers your winning photo here.
Yeah, let's do it.
And I just want to have them just look at it without any comment for just 30 seconds here.
Oh, I hope they like it.
Because when you first look at it, Shane, you're not quite sure what you're looking at. So do tell us what we're looking at here.
So this is a swarm or cloud or army or school of western toed tadpoles swimming through a lake here on Vancouver Island among lily pads, an amazing scene that's only about 2 meters deep. The tadpoles themselves are only, 3 to 4 centimeters long, so they're pretty small. Yeah, I hope that describes it.
How long were you in the water to get this shot? And because in wetlands and swamps, it's usually quite murky, but this shot looks very clear, like for a swamp.
Well, that's one of the allures of that particular lake, which, from a photographic standpoint was discovered by a friend of mine, Iko Jones. And I'll be forever grateful to him for finding this spot and telling the world about it. But yes, the water in that particular lake is very clear, but you have to be very careful because there is algae and detritus everywhere. It's if you were to put your hand in the bottom, your hand would sink in over a foot into the sediment there. and all the lily pad stems are covered in it. So if I accidentally touch something with my fin or with Chloe's arm or whatever, it stirs up the visibility and it can ruin your shot. So you have to be very careful in there. And if anybody's going to go to that lake, please, please, please take every caution not to disturb the environment. We want to leave it as pristine as possible.
What time of year was the shot taken, Shane?
This is starting to be in the summertime. So the toads will lay their eggs in the early spring, and they take 6 to 8 weeks to get to this stage before they lose their tails and turn into little toadlets and start marching out into the forest.
You know what I like? You're a man who's visited all 7 continents, correct? Which
That's
is
right.
a tremendous privilege.
Absolutely, I'm so grateful.
And your winning shot for this global contest wasn't, a leopard in a tree or any, charging rhinoceros. It was the humble little tadpole in a lake on Vancouver Island.
Yes, there's a lot I could say about that, but it tells me a few things. It tells me that the world is ready to recognize generally underrepresented and overlooked species and habitats. We've all seen lots of pictures of elephants and lions and bears, and they absolutely deserve our attention and our conservation. But there's a lot of other habitats and animals that also deserve recognition and protection.
Shane, I just want to share with our viewers some of the comments that the judges had about your winning photograph, because I think it was very articulate and well said here. Tony Wu, one of the judges, said, "The photographer immerses us in an epic migration of tiny tadpoles, a scene that most of us would have never imagined existed. By putting us in the midst of this movement of millions, they highlight the fact that beauty and magic exists everywhere, even in the most mundane of settings."
Yeah, I mean, he's much more eloquent than I am. And Tony Wu is a wonderful underwater photographer and friend, and I should say the judges didn't know who took the photos. When they say they and their, it's completely judged blind, so there hopefully isn't any bias towards anybody. But yeah, beautiful words from Tony.
And the judge who presented it to you was Kathy Moran, and she says, "This photograph brought together all that we were hoping for: a conservation narrative, a powerful moment, a strong aesthetic, as well as an often overlooked environment."
Yeah, I mean, Kathy has a way with words. She's a legendary photo editor. She spent 30 years at National Geographic, and any natural history story pretty much had her finger on it. So to have her present me the award at the 60th year, I mean, it's just a tremendous honor.
How lovely. Take us back to when you first found out that you were actually in the running. What does that look like? What took place?
Well, I mean, it's a big deal in our little photography circles. So you enter in October, November, December. That's when the competition is open. Then they go through various rounds and processes of judging, and they send out emails in March that you either won a category or you were highly commended in a category. So I found out in March of 2024 that I had won the wetlands bigger picture category, and that I was in the running to win the overall. Wow. But they don't reveal who wins the overall until the award ceremony in London at the Natural History Museum on October 8th. So I had many, many months to think about the fact that I'd won the category, but had no idea what was coming in terms of winning the overall.
So you're at the London Natural History Museum in December, when was October
Yep.
of last year. You're there with your fiance.
Yep.
And your parents were back in Saskatchewan.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, everybody was cheering for me, but I assured them that I wasn't going to win the overall. I mean, the thought of that is just too outrageous. I didn't let my mind even go to that place. I didn't have a speech prepared or anything. And then, Kathy stepped up and said, our 60th Wildlife Photographer of the Year, all the way from Canada. And she kind of paused, and Shane Gross, and it was like complete disbelief, blacked out. And to have my fiance Kayla there with me, and she was also right beside me when I took the picture. So that was very much a full circle moment. And my parents watching live on YouTube, they only give you 2 tickets to these things.
Oh.
So I couldn't bring everybody. But yeah, it was a very meaningful and wonderful thing. And again, to be able to, on such a big stage, be able to talk about tadpoles in wetlands, something that is very much overlooked in the conservation narrative, is a real privilege.
Mm-hmm. Congratulations. And what was the prize? Prizes, I guess.
Yeah, so they give out a beautiful sculpture of a blue whale for the category winners. This year was a blue whale to commemorate the 60th anniversary. And then the 2 grand prize winner, myself and the young grand prize winner, had individual one-of-a-kind sculptures created of our subject. So mine is of tadpoles, which even before winning, I was like, well, that's another reason I couldn't win. How could you make a sculpture of tadpoles? Like usually it's a bear or a lion or whatever, right? And then I saw the sculpture and I was blown away. They just did such an amazing, amazing job. And I hope I get to see it again, because right now it's lost in the mail. But that's another whole story.
Yeah, fingers crossed it's going to make it to Nanaimo here for you, Shane. Yeah.
Thank you.
And I also want to add that they had a young photographer category too. So it was a 17-year-old young man from Germany who won that category. So this is open to all ages. Yep. And this exhibit right now is traveling. It's in Toronto, I think, right now.
Yep.
And it's coming to the Royal BC Museum next month, February 14th to April 27th. And your image is going to be there, massively huge. And Shane, that's going to be quite a moment for you. Again.
I mean, seeing it in the London Natural History Museum, they printed it huge and it looked amazing. They did such a great job with the print. And then I'm really excited to go to both Toronto and Victoria for openings there. So I'll be in Victoria on February 15th. There's going to be a meet and greet from 1 to 3 p.m. So I hope everybody can come on out, come say hi, enjoy not just my image, but 100 amazing images from around the world, and go on a journey right here in Victoria.
Mm-hmm. Fabulous. And it's all, you're driven by conservation. And you were a co-founder of a Canadian Conservation Photographers Collective.
Good job. It is a mouthful. The CCPC. Go to the ccpc.ca to find out more about us. But we are, as a conservation photographer, I do most of my work alone, but I believe that we are stronger together. And the person behind it, Josh Deline here, got me and a few other photographers together and said, hey, why don't we start something? We are going to be stronger together. And I've been a part of it for about 2 years now. And we are right across Canada. We are some of the best photographers in Canada. I'm really proud to be a part of it. And hopefully we can make positive changes for our animals and habitats here in Canada.
These images that you produce and your co-photographers, they just ignite discussion amongst people. It really is a bridge to opening up conversations on conservation and stimulating the imagination and how we can all get involved to preserve what we love.
Well, you can't protect something if you don't know that it exists. So I think as a photographer, we try to get out there and show the world what is at stake. We try to show what is happening in our natural world and what we're doing to it. And yes, hopefully that sparks some change. And there have been a couple instances in my career where I was lucky enough to be a part of a larger team that was instrumental in creating marine protected areas, for example. There's a seahorse pond in the Bahamas where I lived for a number of years that my photos were part of a campaign. We went to schools, we had community meetings, we went to the government of the Bahamas, all the while using my pictures and other people's science. And it was a large team effort. It wasn't all me, but we had a major victory when that pond, which is home to hundreds of thousands of seahorses, got full protection earlier this year. So it's just one example that photography can play a role and can be an important tool in the fight for conservation.
Wonderful. Shane, you're also a published author. This beautiful book, 600 pages, I believe, of beautiful photos from your 10 years that you spent in the Bahamas. And this is all going to a children's charity, that all the proceeds of this. Just before we talk about that, the foreword by Jean-Michel Cousteau, Jacques Cousteau's son.
Yeah,
How
amazing.
beautiful.
Amazing. He's doing a lot of great ocean conservation work, carrying on his father's legacy. And I couldn't think of anybody better to write the foreword for my book. And yeah, a very kind and influential man. And yeah, so the proceeds from the book go to an organization called BREEF, the Bahamas Reef Environment and Educational Foundation.
Good one.
Lots of tongue-twisting acronyms here today. And they do all kinds of amazing work in the Bahamas. And one thing that I particularly love about what they do is they will, under the supervision of marine biologists, take children from all the different schools in the Bahamas and take them in the ocean and teach them about the ocean while they're in the ocean, like experiential learning. Wow. An unfortunate stat is that 80% of Bahamians don't learn how to swim. So this is doing that, but taking it beyond that. And I think that that's something that can lead to long-term real conservation change. A lot of measures, especially as photographers, we often grapple with, are we actually making any difference, or are we just out there taking pictures for our own gratification? And so when I saw that, I thought, oh, this is the real deal. So it means a lot to me that I can help raise some money for what they're doing. And
you've also made this book available in every school in the Bahamas.
Yeah, I'm very proud of that. The book is, yeah, like you said, available in every school in the Bahamas. And COVID got in the way a little bit. I was hoping to go to each of those schools and give a presentation to the children, but like I said, COVID got in the way of that. But I'm proud that BREEF carried through and helped me to get the book into all the schools. There's a lot of amazing things in the Bahamas, just like there is here in Canada. And so I think books were a way for me to get into this world. So I hope that I can do that for some other children.
Paying it forward, Shane Gross. I love that. What a generous spirit you have, sir.
Well, thank you.
Let's take a look now at some of your other images that you're going to share with us this evening.
Absolutely.
The first one we have is of these little these little hatchlings, these little white fish hatchlings. Do tell.
Well, those are plain fin midshipman fish. That's right here on Vancouver Island in the intertidal zone. So every spring, these deep water fish, they'll often be 1,000 feet deep, will migrate into the intertidal zone, that is the zone between high tide and low tide. The male will find a suitable rock and dig out a nest, and then he will start to sing, literally sing to attract females. And if he's successful, a female will lay eggs in his nest, and then the father will guard those eggs and raise those babies for up to 4 months. It's one of the longest fatherhood care examples in the fish world, right here in Vancouver Island. So yeah, those little fish are super charismatic, and when I heard about them, I was like, oh, I have to find a way to photograph them. And that image went on to win an underwater photographer of the year competition last year. So I'm glad that that one's connected with people.
And they're still attached to the egg sac there,
yeah,
which is
so
amazing.
They start out as normal eggs, normal looking eggs, and then they hatch, but they are still glued to the rock because the yolk sac is glued to the rock and still guarded over by their father until they're big enough to swim down into the deep sea.
Wonderful. And we have the seahorses, I think, that you were just referring to, eating plankton here, a night shot.
Yeah, so I wanted to show that this place has a lot of seahorses, but it's a difficult thing to show when these tiny camouflage seahorses are still, even though there's 800,000 of them in a small pond, they're still spread out by a meter or two. So I wanted a picture that could show many of them together, and it took, not exaggerating, dozens, probably hundreds of hours of snorkeling in that lake, camping right beside it for days on end, in order to actually find 3 close together like that for that shot. And my heart was beating out of my chest when I saw 3 together, and I was like, don't screw this up. But there they were, and they were calm, cool, collected, and they were just feeding on plankton in front of my camera, and it was a wonderful moment.
Fantastic. How big were these seahorses?
They're about the size of your finger.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. And those would be adults?
They would
Yeah.
be, and if you look closely, there's, I believe, 2 males and a female, or maybe 2 females and a male. But there's almost certainly some sort of mating thing going on there, because you don't normally see them that close together.
Yeah. Our next up is a sad photo of a drowned green sea turtle, and tell us about this poor fellow.
Yeah, well, I feel that as much as I want to show the beauty of the ocean, we can't ignore the realities of what we're doing to the ocean. So I was scuba diving in the Bahamas and came across that turtle, and it was already long dead. There was nothing I could do to save it. It had gotten tangled in fishing line. The fishing line also got tangled in the reef. So the turtle couldn't make it to the surface to breathe. So it drowned. Turtles need to breathe air. And I thought that's such a horrible way to go, and it wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for us and what we want to get out of the ocean. So I couldn't save it, but I thought I'm going to spend some time and try to make as good of a picture as I can, so that hopefully its death won't be completely in vain. The picture went viral, and I had many people tell me that they were going to change their relationship with the ocean. So hopefully it did some good.
Good for you, Shane. This shark pup swimming in a mangrove lagoon.
Oh, these guys are my favorite. So that's a baby lemon shark in a mangrove creek. So the lemon sharks can get quite big. They can get 9-10 feet long. They swim into the mangroves to give birth, and then the little ones will hide in there away from bigger sharks, which could eat them. So I wanted to show that relationship between the baby and the habitat that it depends on, because like most things, we're destroying mangroves all throughout the world. And as we lose our mangroves, we're also going to be losing these sharks and everything else that depends on mangroves, including us. Mangroves protect us from large storms like hurricanes. So we need to be doing better to protect our mangroves.
I love this shot, Shane. You've got the underwater view of the lemon shark. You've got the mangrove tree with the blue sky, and then the little dot of sun there too. What a keen eye you have.
Well, I got a little bit lucky with the spot of sun, I have to admit. But, part of being a good photographer is also being a good photo editor. And by that, I don't mean the post-processing in Photoshop. I mean choosing which images of yours you're going to put forth to a magazine or enter into a competition or put on the cover of your book or whatever. It's not an easy thing to do, and I also rely very much on professional photo editors like Kathy Moran and people like that to do their job very well to make me look good.
Looking very good. So is this Cuban crocodile. Oh my goodness, the teeth on this. How close were you to this beautiful crocodile?
Oh, he is a young male crocodile, and he was chewing on the glass of the front of the dome port of the camera. Wow. Right there. That was a very specific situation. I don't recommend people just go in and seek out a Cuban crocodile. They're one of the most aggressive crocodile species. They're only found in Cuba, and there's only about 3,000 of them left. So I felt compelled to go and try to make a compelling picture of this dwindling species. And I had heard about a single lone male in a cenote in Cuba that was kind of used to people because it was on a regular walking trail. And soon after I took that picture, there was flooding in the area and the croc was never seen again. So that opportunity is now gone, but I'm glad I got that picture at least.
Beautiful. The hammerhead shark at night. This is beautiful.
That's going back to the Bahamas. That's a great hammerhead shark. There's like 10 species of hammerheads. This is the biggest and most mysterious and my childhood favorite shark. So to get the opportunity to see them and photograph them was incredible. They're also a critically endangered species. So really important to shine a light on them and show how beautiful they are and shy they are. We think of sharks as aggressive, but actually they're very difficult to get close to. That's the hardest part of photographing sharks, is just getting close enough to them.
Well, a lot of people will go shark viewing, but they're in a cage. But you are right up there close and personal.
For certain shark species, a cage would be highly recommended. For example, great whites. If you're going to go see great whites, most places require you by law to be in a cage, just because one mistake and they'll ruin your life. But all other shark species that I'm aware of, you can swim without a cage if you're following the rules and being respectful. They're not the man-eaters we think of them as.
Clearly, this shark is very comfortable with you in that close
Yeah,
proximity.
I still have all my fingers and toes, and I've swam with 36 species of sharks. So.
Wow, wow. This wonderpuss image of this blue octopus, whoa, this hatchling.
They are incredible. I mean, they weren't even described to science until 2006. They, as adults, will be opaque, black and white striped, and they'll live on the seabed in, places like Indonesia and the Philippines. And one night in the Philippines, we were doing blackwater diving, which is diving in the open ocean at night and looking for animals that are drifting by like plankton. And this little guy came by, and I was, again, my heart started pounding, and I was like, don't screw this up. And started taking pictures because they're just so cool with that transparent skin. And you can see individual chromatophores, the things that allow them to change their color at will. Amazing animals.
And I just want to remind our viewers that any of these images and thousands more are available on your website for people to purchase as well, including the grand title winner here. People can purchase various sizes and aspects of that photo as well.
Yeah, absolutely. ShaneGross.com. You can check it out. My contact is on there as well if you want to reach out to me personally. I always try to get back to everybody who reaches out, so don't be shy.
Our final photo tonight is very appropriate. It's called Goodbye.
This is a sperm whale in Sri Lanka. I went there with my father back in 2012, and it was a spectacular event that we got lucky to witness. A super pod of sperm whales, 250 sperm whales, all traveling together. We couldn't believe what was happening, and this particular one, it was the end of the trip, and I knew it would probably be the last sperm whale I'd see, at least on that trip, maybe ever. You never know. So I snapped a picture of its tail as it was swimming away, and it's so simple, but at least to me, very beautiful, and people seem to be responding to it very well.
Shane, you have a very sensitive eye for nature and animals, and an obvious love for them too that comes through in all of your photographs. What would you say to anybody who would like to enter this contest?
Well, I think the first thing would be it gets enough entries, and I don't need more competition. So find somewhere else to put your photos. No. It's a difficult thing. The biggest thing would be to pay attention to it, to go back and look at past entries and see what they've already awarded. You'll get to see the caliber of images, and you'll also understand how not to repeat them. They are looking for original photos, original compositions, and at least this year, underrepresented species. So yeah, go back and pour through it and become a fan of photography if you're not already.
Thank you so much, Shane. We've run out of time here, but we'll certainly be taking a closer look at these beautiful photos on your website. Good luck to you at the grand opening there at the Royal BC Museum with your grand title winning photograph.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations. Really
Thank you.
appreciate you coming in tonight. And thank you for joining us. And think about next time you're out taking pictures, check out that London Museum of Natural History contest. You just might end up like Shane. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.